What are the things that you think should be put in place, and what should we look at for the medium and long term in particular? And I'll come to the other members, and the convener will keep me correct on time. Hopefully I can hear from all of you if we can. But I'll come to Joe first because you raised that.
Hi, thanks. Well, at the core of this is the quality of the decision making. And how those decisions are influenced. And at the moment, the system that we have is giving us very poor outcomes, poor decisions and poor outcomes. And so I think you need to look at, yes, the fundamental structure of how the system is organized, fundamental structure of how a ferry service is delivered, and what is the best way to deliver a ferry service. When you look at Scotland's system, you know, we have this bizarre separation of vessel owner and vessel operator, which is completely artificial. And then Transport Scotland and government trying to often kind of micromanage operations that are done by these other two organisations. So we have these three organisations without it really being clear who is in charge, who's making decisions, who's making those strategic decisions. To give an example of how that artificial relationship between vessel owner and vessel operator works. We apparently have a system where every 6 years the service is tendered. That would on the face of it result in a competitive tendering situation where you get the best operator offering best value for money. Well, the driver of cost within the ferry service are the vessels. That's where all of your operating costs are. The huge majority of your operating costs are in the vessels. But yet when the tendering happens, the operator who is tendering has absolutely no control over those operating costs because they are obliged to use the vessels that CMAL give them. And the flip side of that is that when a vessel is being renewed, being replaced, as for example, as just happening on Iona now, that process is going through now. The decisions that go into that vessel design and bake in those operating costs in terms of vessel size, how many crew on the vessel, whether the crew are live aboard or live ashore, how much fuel it burns, all those key decisions around the operating cost of the vessel are being taken on the one hand by CMAL, who have absolutely no relationship to their success or otherwise. It's completely unrelated to the financial success of CalMac. So if they specify a high cost vessel, it makes no difference to them. It makes no difference to their outcome, to their business or personal outcome. And CalMac also, they can specify a vessel, but it doesn't make any difference. There's no opportunity for a competitor to offer a different vessel because they know that the vessel they specify now is the same vessel that any competitor is going to be obliged to use. So they have no incentive. I'm not saying that that's the actual explicit thought process that goes through management's mind in CMAL or CalMac, but these are the implicit pressures on them. There is no commercial pressure. There's no incentive for them to make good decisions so far as those vessels are concerned. Because, whether a vessel needs a crew of 12 or a crew of 27 makes no difference to the bottom line of CalMac or CMAL. Because whatever the operating cost is, we pick it up. Whatever the deficit is, and it's currently about £150 million a year, the operating costs alone. Before you buy vessels, before you spend money on piers, £150 million a year is the operating deficit of CalMac. And that's because there is massive inefficiency and waste in the system because we have crews that are far bigger than is typical in the rest of the commercial world. We have vessels that are far more complex, that are bespoke, one-off designs, that are very time-consuming and expensive to build. They're very fuel-thirsty. And And all of these decisions are baked into the design of procurement because no one has an incentive to make better decisions. So the question is, how do you incentivize the decision makers to make better decisions?
Right.
So if it's within a public system, and if it remains within a public system, what are the structures that you create that incentivize better decision making?
Okay.
Or you have a truly competitive situation, as you do in Norway, where they have one of the best public ferry services in the world. You have a truly competitive situation where the operator of the vessels is also the owner of the vessel, and they compete for the right to government subsidy to operate a service on the basis of their efficiency and productivity. And so their decisions are linked to their financial performance, their business performance.
Thank you, Joe. I understand your committee has also looked at international experience. So